Hi guys, this is Jessica, the Enneagram Life Coach, with a quick video on how body types have bad assumptions about the world. Okay, so all of the personality types in the Enneagram have some sort of core assumptions that they hold that are subconscious, and the whole personality is built on that bad assumption. And when it comes to body types, the initial assumptions and the concern and the attention of body types are going towards truth, goodness, justice, like fairness, somebody's role in the world and whether or not they're doing that correctly or honestly or with a good heart or from an evil heart. Those are the types of things that body types, their attention goes to. So when we talk about type 8s, what they can lose sight of is that everybody has access to divine truth. So the 8 has a sense, and they are correct about this, that they can sense the divine, or in simple terms, they know what is best for their life. You know, when they go to make a life decision, they just get a sort of like a gut reaction or a gut feel which way to go, and they follow that instinct, and they do have that, and they're very good about that. But where they can take a wrong turn is where they don't realize everybody has a connection to the divine. And not only does everybody have a connection to the divine, but other people's connections to the divine might not look the exact same way that the 8s does. So sometimes the 8 can then mistakenly think, well, they don't have truth because they're not doing it the way I would do it. Well, that doesn't mean they don't have truth. That just means they're not doing things the 8's way. So for an 8, one of the things that is helpful for them to realize is that every person is coming to situations fresh and new, any situation, and every person has the ability to be guided by God as they make decisions. And even though 8 is very used to making their own decisions and being very decisive and knowing the way to go and knowing a very certain way of doing that, it's okay that other people are doing that differently. We can still trust that a good God is guiding them as well. Okay, now let's talk about type 9s. 9s are kind of funny because what 9s lose sight of is that everybody is important in God's good world. Now, here's the funny thing. 9s believe everybody else is important, but they forget how important they are. 9s will go to sleep to the idea that they have something to contribute, or that they have wisdom, or that their observations are meaningful and helpful and healing. And that's all true because 9s, like every human, have connections to the divine, but they minimize that in themselves. And as they do that, they not only go to sleep to themselves, but they don't give to the world the gifts that they have to offer because they have convinced themselves that they aren't important or that their voice isn't, somehow they're not skilled enough or they're not qualified enough. But really, as long as they're connected to the divine, of course we want to hear what they have to say because it's beneficial to all of us. And they have a very unique standpoint. They're wired a very certain way that lets them see things that others don't see, which is, of course, the case for all 9 types. All 9 of us are looking at things that others don't look at. But we want 9s to call out the things they see because that's how they're most helpful to themselves, but also to the world. And then let's go to type 1. 1s are body center types, and 1s have this bad idea that unless you are good and correct and excellent and maybe even perfect, you're not worthy. And they mostly direct that at themselves, although they can be critical of other people as well. But they have these impossible standards that they place on themselves, and they are trying so hard, and they really are trying hard to follow the rules and to be good. And one of the things they lose sight of is humans are all made in the image of God. And in that sense, we all have goodness, which means that even when somebody else is doing something differently than what the 1 believes is good or perfect or the best way, that maybe the other person in their own divine inspiration is doing it another way that God has invited them to do it. So it's similar to the 8s, and that 8s and 1s are often applying the same standards that they feel called to adhere to other people. And that's not wise, right? Because we're all different. Just like if you're a parent and you have different, if you have children, if you have more than one child, your children are different. They do things differently. They have different skills. They speak differently. They learn differently. They hear differently. They act differently. It's the same with people. And so there's a fundamental wrong turn we make when we expect everyone to be just like we are. And actually all 9 types make that bad assumption. When we start judging people through the lens we use, that's a wrong turn. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I do Enneagram coaching for very reasonable rates. Hit me up if you're interested. Thanks.